Hey everybody, how's everyone doing? I am so happy. Okay, well, I'm mostly happy to be back because the place that we had in Galveston for my vacay was gorgeous and I really didn't want to leave. But if I have to be back here at work, I'm so happy to be back here with all of you for a fun Wednesday evening tutorial. So, we are this evening doing this one. So what this actually is, these things that I put in the photo for the promo for this class are a pair of vintage shoe clips. But this technique is really super applicable to an enhancer pendant. So that's what we're actually going to work on today, is making a pendant from a vintage button. Now, these are not actually buttons, these are cabochons. They've got no button attachment on the back, but I'm actually going to take, and this is not actually a vintage button, this is a Nouveau vintage button. They produce these in the Czech Republic using new glass but vintage molds, but I'm going to take this and I'm going to try and turn it into a pendant using this technique. Now, since we are in the season of holiday gifting, this is something that could be a really fun gift if you have, say, buttons that were a relative's. I know that my grandmother has a button box. I don't know how many other people's grandmothers have button boxes. If you've got buttons that are special to you, creating a pendant from a button that means something to the person to whom you're giving it is actually a really fun Christmas gift. And these are nice because they are an enhancer style. So they don't need their own chain. They can actually just clip onto any necklace. They can even clip onto, a piece of fabric as kind of like a brooch type thing. So what are we going to need to accomplish this task? We are going to need a button, and the bigger it gets, the harder it's going to be. So I may have shot myself in the foot. These pieces here, my samples, are about the size of a quarter. This one's more the size of a 50-cent piece. So we'll see if I can manage this evening. You're going to need two fairly flexy filigree bead caps. So if you can see on the sample, we're going to have to bend those bead caps down over our button. So we want some that are going to be pretty easy to bend. So these little guys I think are going to work just fine. We need two of those, one for the top and one for the bottom. And then you're going to need some 22 gauge square wire. So I'm going to start by cutting my 22 gauge square wire, and I'm going to cut myself about a foot. Should be plenty, even with this larger button. So I heard that everyone had lots of fun with Heather last week, and that's amazing. Thank you guys for letting me go on vacation. It was very nice. Again, I didn't really want to come back, but I did, so here I am. And okay, so I cut myself a foot of that 22 gauge wire, and again, that's 22 gauge square wire. Okay, you could do this with round wire, but the square wire tends to grip a little bit better. So what I want to do now that I've cut my square wire is I want to smooth and straighten it out, because right now it kind of looks like this, which is not a really good configuration for doing anything. So I'm going to take my chain nose pliers, those are the flat ones. I'm going to grab the end of my square wire and I'm just going to pull it through my fingers to start straightening it out. And what I want is I want to get it to the point where it's not twisted, okay? So where essentially all of the faces are parallel and it's not twisting around at any point. And I may have to do a little bit of squeezing with my chain nose to make that work. There we go. Okay. Okay, so you can see through just a little bit of kind of, running your fingers over it, it's much, much smoother. So Keiko had a question, does it bother my hands when I do that? And the answer is No, I mean, you can see the tarnish on my hands. The fact is that I have calluses from doing that. So if you don't do this all the time, it is perfectly normal for it to bother your hands. So ways that you can get around that, one of my favorite ways is to grab a polishing cloth or a polishing pad and use that as a protectant between the wire and your hands. That actually serves dual duty of keeping your hands from getting dirty and keeping that friction away from your fingers. I just tend to kind of push through it, but no, that is not unusual. It's not just you. That's perfectly normal. That is physics. Okay, so I've got my piece of wire that I've now smoothed out. I want to find approximately the center. Easiest way to do that, if you don't want to measure, is to just make kind of a teardrop shape and then eyeball the middle. So this project starts, not lose my middle, this project starts here. So this is the start, is this making this nose and this kind of hook, and then we're gonna go down through our cap and then we're gonna create the rest of the piece. So what I'm gonna do to create that little hook is I'm gonna find a round nose pliers. Ta-da! And what, huh?
It was a surprise. It's a mystery cracker.
We're just wondering about the crackers.
Which ones?
The little triangle ones.
Those are from Trader Joe's.
Ah, which ones are they?
I would have to look them up.
Okay.
Yeah, those are, looky, those are good.
Oh, cute little. The one you held up was decidedly broken. So.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But, yeah, those little triangle ones are cute.
Okay, hold on. Hold please while I figure out what crackers those are.
I should live on crackers.
Oh, I could do crackers and cheese and champagne. Just
Definitely need the champagne.
Mmm.
Occasional gin.
Mmm.
Switch it up a little, you know.
Oh yeah, well gin for sure.
Also done right.
Those are wonderful.
They're the Herbe de Provence triangles.
Nice.
Yeah, those
Okay.
are very good.
Back to the project.
I'm always a fan of
Okay, so I'm going to find the middle and I'm going to take my round nose. I'm going to grab at the middle. So remember from previous square wire classes, tutorials that I've taught, the key when you're doing square wire is that you need to make sure that the wire stays flat in order to have everything look as neat as possible. So square wire is a square prism, so you know, two sets of parallel sides. You want to make sure that the parallel sides stay parallel because they're going to want to twist. You don't want them to twist unless that's actually part of your design. So I'm going to take these and I'm just going to bend them flat up like so against my pliers. And so now I have my little round kind of nose shape, which is here. Now you will notice that my wires are crossing here, whereas here they're not. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wires and I'm going to smooth them out. I'm going to reverse their curves. So how do you reverse the curve on a piece of wire? It's actually pretty simple. You're going to anchor yourself at one end, and then you're going to take your fingers and you're going to press down in the opposite direction of the way that the wire is curving. And there you go. Now I've got my reverse curve on that side and reverse curve on this side. So that is now my little, that's my little enhancer nose right there. Now I'm going to take my cap. I'm going to take my two pieces of wire, and notice I did a really piss poor job of finding the middle, but it's okay. Everyone will live. I'm going to string this onto Okay, so my goal is I'm going to put these two wires through this hole. This hole's a little small, so I'm going to take my round nose and I'm just going to kind of case. I guess. Okay, so I haven't made a sign yet, but yes, I burned myself. I was trying to be all stealthy with the flesh-colored Band-Aid, and I failed.
Nothing wrong with Ace's eyes.
Actually, it was Julie and Keiko and Lori first.
Okay.
But yes, we are. Actually, that's not true because I got this injury on Friday. So we are at
It was not Beating Dreams' fault.
We didn't do it.
5 days without an injury. It did not happen at Beating Dreams. It happened in Galveston. It was an unfortunate incident with the curling iron.
That'll do it.
So, okay, now that I've widened that out, let's try and do this again. See if I can thread these both through here. Nope, wider still.
So I just finished a mini-series on Netflix called All the Light You Cannot See.
I should have known I could not slip anything past y'all.
God, it is.
Well, yay! See, my disguise was decent.
Girl is amazing. She's really blind.
Oh.
Really.
Oh, your caps are, well, that's okay. You can type it all lowercase. We don't care.
Things on
Okay, cool. So I've got my cap on here. So now what I need to do is I need to spread
you know, people that
these out to anchor
blind girl.
my cap.
Here comes this
So
blind girl
this is going to be fun.
and audition.
I mean, exactly, Julie.
Anyway,
There's nothing wrong with being E.E. Cummings, I think. So what's going to happen is I need to spread out this side and this side. So I'm going to start with this top side, but I'm going to brace it underneath with my fingernail. And I'm just going to kind of get on in there, and I want to bend that
Through with you yet.
out. Like so, okay? So what I want to do is I want to splay that outwards to anchor it on this side of my cap, and I don't want it to be too far. So that's about what I'm looking for, except I want it to be even, so we're going to fix it. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and make my enhancer. Now this one is made a little bit square-ish. I think I'm going to do mine rounded instead, so I'm just going to bend
What
this
it says is
down
subscribe to Blake Martin's Thanksgiving. And
like
I
so.
think all I have is pictures. Okay. So
Then I'm going to take these two and I'm going to bend them straight out. So what this is going to do is ideally it's going to anchor this cap right here.
a week or something. Okay. So that's Blake how I could put them in my photo.
Oh no! Oh, Naz. Unfortunate.
Go to your Apple Photos. Oh, on your laptop. I don't have a laptop.
Okay, so now I've got this. So I have my hook that I made. I'm going to make the little upturn on that at the end of the process. And then I've got my cap, and then I've got my 2 pieces of wire that are splayed out to the side. So now these 2 pieces of wire are what are going to go around my button. And by the way, let's talk for just a second about the back of the button. This part here, which is known as the shank. So you got 2 options for this. You can cut the shank off. When you cut it off, it tends to leave some very stabby bits, so you're gonna need to go at it with a rotary tool or some sandpaper, a file, something to buff those down. If you don't have the time or the equipment to do that, the other thing that I am very fond of doing is to just take this and bend it over and then just use the side of my pliers to press it down. So what that does is it doesn't get rid of your button attachment, but what it does create is a smooth back on your button. So your button attachment's still there, you haven't removed it, but it's not going to snag or scratch anyone. So now back to this. So this is the fun part, because now I want to take this square wire and I want to bend it tightly around the outside of my button. So this is going to take a minute. So this is one of those don't rush it kind of projects, because if you do, you're going to wind up regretting it. Plus, at some point, we're going to need to string on our other cap. which I'm gonna
Alright, so
enlarge the
I
hole.
saved the last 5, like the ones that are after the videos. So all you can go home and what I did. I'll show you what I did.
And you got the last one.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna, once again, so with these soft brass stampings, if you need the hole bigger, you can really just kind of ream it out with your round nose because the wire, the metal will just kind of bend and conform. So that's ready. And by the way, when I strung this cap
Let's just ditch the box.
on here,
Why do
I strung it with the concave side down because I'm gonna wind up crimping that actually around my button. So here we go with me trying to wrap this around my button and hold it,
But do that with
and
the
I
rest.
might need to resort to tape. We'll see in a minute.
Maybe be here a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so
tape is gonna be good.
cancel out.
Just cancel and then you're all
Okay.
set if you just go home and
And I
you
hit
save.
Save to files.
No, save. Save
Save
file.
powder sodium.
Masking tape. Yes. Well, Lori, you
Leave it just like that.
were my inspiration because you used tape on that crazy chain and jump ring project to make it work. Of course, I think I grabbed the crappiest tape in my drawer. Let's see if I have anything that's less crappy. Try this one. That one sucks. I know, right? Tape or needing 4 hands. And since I don't come equipped with 4 hands, we're going to use tape instead. So painter's tape is my fave, just your regular blue stuff. So let's go ahead and try that with tape. So I'm going to line this up, and I know that I've got this angle that I like, so I'm going to take that and I'm just going to tape it down.
I'm not
I mean, the blue tape's not particularly fancy. It's just what I have. It's the stuff that removes easily without a residue.
the save 578.
So you can do this again in case I'm not around. I mean, I'm not
One.
but that is not.
Okay, and I think to help myself along here, I'm going to go ahead and crimp this around my button. So that'll help everything stay in place. So I just want to kind of crimp that so that it will grip the top of my button.
I am marking up your photos so you can see. So now you'll have visual instructions.
And where do I find that?
I'm about to send it to you.
Okay. But then I have to get out of this thing.
Okay, so there we go. So that's bent around my button. So I'm going to take my
They're gonna
other side,
text.
hold that down, and I'm going to bend that around.
Text.
Okay, so here, do this, and I'm gonna save this, and I'll send it to you right now.
Okay, so I've got that one. So that is also bent around, and if I were a smart person, I would have given myself another piece of tape, but I wasn't.
I'm gonna just call it to save photos.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hold that on there.
Oh, Linda.
And I'm gonna get this side as well.
Don't breathe like that. Honey, that worries me. That upsets me. I don't want to be upset.
I know. You know what? I don't want to be here either. It is what it is.
All right,
And it isn't gonna be.
so there we go.
That is.
Okay, so now I've got a whole bunch of tape on here holding this all together. So what I want is I want to find the center bottom, which is going to be directly down from this, and then I'm going to take my wires and I'm going to bend them straight so that they align with the central axis of my button. So that's going to be that one there. Make sure that they're coming around the outside, and then there. So this is what we want. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my other cap and I'm going to thread that on, and hopefully there we go. So thread that on, and then we want to pull that up. Okay, so now is where we're going to, so now what we're going to do is we're going to bend these out, and this is where we're going to tighten everything down. And eventually we are going to need to take off the tape and see where everything is. So, you know, this is step one of several. So this is just our preliminary tightening down. So this right here on the bottom is where our tension is going to come from. But we want to make sure that we don't pull so much tension that we pop our wire off of the sides onto the front. That's part of what the tape is for. So I'm just going to start by gently bending these two wires outwards, straight out, like so. And then we're going to work on kind of ratcheting that down. So I'm going to get rid of one of these pieces of tape. I'm going to set that so that it's where I want, which is around the outside of my button. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to tighten it down more by just pulling this and bending it down more and more so that I get a tighter and tighter wire there until it's tight enough that it's not going to pop off the side. So you just kind of have to work it like so. Right, and then you can also work it from the top here, because see how these have kind of come together? They're not as splayed apart as they were. So you can also work it from the top and work that one out a little bit more. Okay, and that gives me a decent amount of tension there. It's not quite there yet. You can see it still wants to pop a bit, but it's way closer than it was. Now it's time for the other side. No rage quitting, Keiko. No rage quitting on the Beating Dreams stream. Bear with me. I cannot do this on camera because I cannot see it. So just make sure. I'm making sure that it's going around the outside because I actually tighten it a bit more than I needed to. So now I've got this. So hi Sophia. So fun times. So we're gonna just go ahead and loosen this up a bit and get it back aligned. So tape is fun, tape is helpful, but it's not always perfect. So bear with while I get this fixed off camera, where I can actually see it and manipulate it, and then I'll be back on camera with the project. So Sophia, how's the weather in Wisconsin? I heard that at least in Milwaukee it snowed, and in Chicago it snowed, but not like major snow, just like sidewalk snow.
What is snow that's not major snow?
Snow that you don't have to snow blow or plow or shovel.
I not know what this is that long ago.
And then You or her restrung that other necklace into the top spot. But one of us has a ring.
Okay,
Maybe.
so let's try this again. So I've got it rainy there. Well, rainy's better than snowy, I think.
Did you get both necklaces? Because she was the other reading. Amethyst? And beads and stringing material.
Okay, so it may not seem like it, but I am actually getting closer. So again, it's kind of a whole bunch of tiny adjustments. So I've got it to where it's now, I can set my button inside of my circle. So now I'm going to start once again tightening my circle. So I've got my cap is folded over there. So now I'm going to work on the bottom, but again, I want to make sure that it stays around the outside, because if it doesn't stay around the outside, it's not going to hold my piece.
Linda, did you see these London blue or sky blue teardrops?
Say it again. You know what can go wrong. Wait. Still in touch. Boxes.
Okay. So now we're going to start tightening this up at the bottom a bit. Okay, so we're working on tightening up. So again, when you're tightening, just make sure you're tightening with it around the outside, and it's going to take a while for it to actually get enough tension that it'll stay there. Right? Hi, Diane. What are thwack biscuits, Julie? I am curious. I mean, I have a guess, but I would like to know the actual definition of a thwack biscuit. So I feel like you like roll it and like thwack it down, but I would like confirmation of that, please. We are, in fact, Keiko. I mean, there's the automatopoeia thing going on. I am... Oh, those. Okay, that's not what I was thinking at all. I'm wire wrapping a button. I see. I never walked it on the counter. I always did the like push a spoon in the seam, or some of them just go poof when you open them, which is super nice because you don't got to do nothing. Though I have discovered in my adult life that there are a whole lot of people who have phobias of those biscuits and their explodiness. So, apple cranberry tart. Keiko, I do not recommend scrapping with Julie for the tart, because she is stubborn and wily. counter is better than thwacking it off of your sibling. Ace, do you have childhood stories to share?
Oh my.
Do tell.
Because I had no siblings, so I did not. Again, we just used a spoon and pressed it at the seam, and that was always my job, which I guess is why I don't have a phobia of those, because that was what I got to do when I was a kid, was open the biscuits and the cinnamon rolls. But it was always like press a spoon at the seam, and then it just would go, which is nice. Okay, so I'm off camera with this because this is being a little bit squirrely, and I'm having difficulty doing it on camera. So I will show you when I'm back in a place where I can do it on camera. I will have to try that, Julie, next time I have them. My problem is I don't have them that often anymore because they don't make any of them that are gluten-free.
I've never seen.
But I did use Pillsbury crescent roll dough this weekend because my puff pastry went moldy. Oops. And Target did not have puff pastry dough, so I had to use Pillsbury crescent rolls, which are a solid substitute. I mean, they're not quite as nice as puff pastry dough, but they will do in a pinch. But next time I have the occasion, I will have to try thwacking them, because that does in fact sound like fun.
All stuff I learned here.
Alright, so what I've done is I've got this now set so I've bent the bottom here, and now I'm gonna work on tightening it up. And gluten-free crescent rolls exist. Pillsbury doesn't make them. I believe there are other companies that make them. They are unfortunately often disappointing because thank you, Sally. Because the it's the same reason that really gluten-free puff pastry isn't a thing. It's just like there's something about like the lamination of the butter with the flour and the gluten that binds it all together. Like it's very difficult / impossible to get that same flaky texture with gluten-free. It's unfortunate because I do love crescent rolls and puff pastry both. But you know, say lovey. You know, this is one of those, like, it wouldn't even be worth it to super glue it to the thing just to help it stay in place for tightening. But I'm getting there, I promise. Maybe. Yes. See, and I know gluten-free puff pastry can be made. My problem with my time is that I would love to be able to just get it frozen in a sheet. Because, yes, I know I can make gluten-free lots of things, but it'd be so much nicer if they were just made for me. Okay, so we are making progress, believe it or not. It doesn't seem like it, but I am getting things aligned better and then tightening. but I do have a recipe idea in my head that needs puff pastry and that I want to eat, so I might have to make gluten-free puff pastry. But, ugh, so much work. Yeah, well, see, there are things that you can, like, there are cheats you can use, like pre-prepared pie dough I'm all about, because I have never been good at pie crust. Like, my aunt and my grandmother, like, my grandmother is in, advanced dementia, and the woman can still make pie crust from memory. And my aunt is the same, so I really think that it's some kind of a gene. There's a pie crust gene that I didn't get, but I'm totally fine with pre-prepared pie crust dough, because it's so much easier, and why struggle when Pillsbury has done it for you? Speaking of struggle, sorry, I am struggle busing this project. See, I'm a little hesitant to go back to the tape, because the tape is how it got screwed up in the first place. Because I trusted the tape a little too much. But we're gonna just... Alright, so we're gonna tape this side and see if it'll stay. And then we're gonna try and get this side in line. See? Tape not holding you. Oh, thank you.
Got it clean.
It's true. Alright. Really gonna hope that holds. Would be really nice if it would. And then... one of this side, please. Okay, so theoretically now I have both finally riding around the outside of my button. So now theoretically I can tighten. So I want to make sure that when I'm tightening that I'm not pulling from here. So I'm just going to give that a nice sharp bend, and then in theory, come on, go back where you're supposed to. That's why the tape's there. Nope, not that far. Alright, now in theory I can start tightening carefully, again, these sides, and hopefully they won't pop to the front like they're wanting to do. Because this is just a tension setting. So it only works because of the tension between the wire and the side of the button, which means that there needs to be tension between the wire and the side of the button. Not the front of the button, the side, not the back of the button, the side of the button. Yes. See, if I weren't doing a tutorial at this point, what I would probably do is put this down and come back to it, because it is definitely frustrating me. I'm sure it's frustrating you to watch. So at this point, I would be like, okay, Button, we are taking a break from each other now, and I will be back to hang with you
We were on a
in a
break.
couple days. So this definitely could use some fixing for sure. And the button just fell on the floor,
Damn you, buddy.
right? Excuse me.
I think this area is not full of structural integrity today. 'Cause that bag is also falling apart for no reason.
Got it.
Nobody go home.
It's not. Plus, we has a talking stream later. Oh, Keiko was telling us to go home. Okay, cool. Bye. My cats are calling. I managed to wrangle them into the house before I left today, so they are definitely, feeling, I'm sure, confined and pissed at me. So I shall hear all of the meows when I get home. Or maybe before I get home.
They've been talking to Carol.
Okay, but there's a pack of coyotes that, like, I got home last night and they were, like, yipping up a storm. I was like, no outside kitties. Kitties stay inside when coyotes are on the prowl, 'cause they scare me. That was a convincing meow. Carol does a very good cat impression.
I've known a few cats.
She has known a few cats.
It's true.
Yes, my neighbor's little dog is not allowed in my house anymore after she peed on my bed. Like, if it's my own animals, fine. I'll deal with it, but somebody else's animal does not get to pee on my bed. I have to...
Good rule to have, I think.
Hi, Silver! Agreed. And yes, Carol is a very good cat sitter. Diane is not wrong. Alright, I give up. I just completely ruined this whole thing, and yeah, now I'm done. So this project is going to require a do-over. I will... This Saturday is freeform, so I will practice, and I will do better on Saturday. My adventure was good. It's 4 a.m. No, the Dickens on the Strand was loads of fun. I had a very good time. I'm glad that I went. I was sad to come back because it was a lovely vacation and the flat that we had was so pretty and so big. You did not curse the stream, Keiko? But when the project winds up looking like this, it's time to stop. So, this is an incomplete project stream. I will do my best to complete the project on Saturday during freeform. But thank you all so much for hanging out with me and watching me try to finish said project. I might try it again also during the talking stream to see if I can get it to work. But yeah, I'm sorry. This one just ain't gonna work, folks. So sometimes it is what it is. But Heather and I will be back on this channel, twitch.tv/beatingdream in half an hour at 7:30 with a chit-chatting stream. And I have decided we want to do, and I haven't told Heather this yet, so this is news to her, but I want to do a series on gemstone myths and legends and their origins and whether they're factual or not. So we're gonna, I think I'm gonna start off with opals because there's a whole lot of myth and legend around opals. So myths and legends of opals is going to be this evening's talking stream. Plus I know a lot of you have a fondness for opal. What, Tallyfet? I'm not selling them, I'm talking about them. I mean, I can sell them if you want. But, so Heather and I are going to be talking about opals.
I sold them all.
Okay, Heather sold them all. So there's no more to sell.
I sold.
There's no more to sell, but we're going to be talking about myths and legends surrounding opals. That's going to be in 30 minutes after we have a brief break to do some closing duties. So everyone, go grab yourself a cocktail, get comfy, get cozy, get ready to hear some weird ass myths and legends regarding opals. There actually are, but they're so well hidden I don't remember where I put them. And there might be a strand at my house also. And that 4mm strand I might cut up. So there might be more opals in the future. So yes. So myths and legends surrounding opals, that's going to be our podcast topic for tonight at 7:30. I will seek out more opals that we can sell maybe by the time our podcast starts. And yeah, okay. And then I'm, going to talk to Heather about the fact that I just sprung this whole topic on her.
Yeah, I'm going to let Allison talk, actually, a lot.
Well, I'm going to give you some scripted material, too. So.
Okay.
All right, so we're
really
going to...
can be just you.
We're going to take a minute, and by a minute, I mean 24 minutes, and we'll see you guys back on this channel. Twitch.tv/beatingdream at 7:30. Okay, bye.